So, a Nintendo Direct ended up dropping in today, and what a surprise. Very interesting. And yeah, let's talk about that because we can just call it the day of Monster Hunter because, well, there was two big things that ended up happening, and Nintendo was aware that these two things was going to be a big deal, and you'll end up finding out what they did later in the video. But what happened here is that there were two titles that seemed to be announced on a long-going franchise by Capcom that is known to be Monster Hunter. That's right, the two new games are going to be Monster Hunter Stories 2 and Monster Hunter Rise. Now, these two games are part of a franchise that has been pretty much a big deal to both Nintendo and Capcom, especially between Nintendo and Capcom, in which I'll go ahead and elaborate in a later video. But however, because of these two new titles being Monster Hunter, there was at the same day a Monster Hunter Nintendo Direct, where the devs go up front and pretty much elaborate what we have seen in both the trailers for Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. Monster Hunter Rise is the main installment, while Monster Hunter Stories 2 is just essentially the spin-off. But however, the spin-off Monster Hunter Stories 2 will be on summer 2021. As for Monster Hunter Rise, March 26th of 2021. Monster Hunter Stories 2 is the spin-off that's basically just getting in and telling a story that's been pretty much part of the Monster Hunter universe, and pretty much it is pretty much like a storied campaign, like more of a storied campaign where you have established characters and pretty much a more established plot line rather than create your character and then you just end up with that. But however, you end up playing as someone as a main character. You do run into this girl and you do lead on to a big huge journey as part of like a storied campaign. So it's gonna be like it's gonna pretty much be different, I'm expecting, compared to like mainline Monster Hunter titles, because I haven't played the first Monster Hunter Stories, but I'm having a suspicion that it's going to play entirely different compared to the mainlines, so that's what I'm suspecting. However, Monster Hunter Rise, on the other hand, it's going to be the mainline Monster Hunter game that's going to be pretty much taking place with in sort of like a Japanese-esque style theme, which is similar to something that you may have found on Monster Hunter Portable 3. And I remember seeing Monster Hunter Portable 3. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's actually titled Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, and this game has been import only, and especially the HD remaster that came out on PlayStation 3. So yeah, that game has been pretty much and essentially an import title. So if you're looking to import this title for the sake of your curiosity, it's import in Japan. So if you pretty much have got yourself caught up on your Duolingo, or you've already mastered the Japanese language throughout any ways, then definitely it's going to be a no-brainer that you'll breeze through the menus and stories and whatnot. But we're going to see that, I guess, feudal Japanese-esque theme that has been present on Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. We're going to see that a thing in Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is going to end up pretty much bringing in the Palico Cats from, the Pelico Cats have been tradition to Monster Hunter, but however, there's going to be a new animal type, companion to bring with you on your quests, and it's essentially like a wolf-like pet, but however, you could ride on its back, and pretty much it's fine and cool with you riding on its back, and you can pretty much go to point A to point B faster. Also, another thing that was mentioned in the Direct is there's this thing called the wire bug, and it acts as like some sort of grappling hook. Oh yes, and here's where things are going to be, there's another new thing that's going to be implemented that's going to be more of a parkour-ish kind of thing. And pretty much it gives players the ability to essentially climb mountains or climb walls or basically just run up walls. Basically, your means of traveling has pretty much expanded to, well, climbing and then grappling yourself across lands, as well as alongside the traditional running across and pretty much jumping from one or dodging monsters or whatever means necessary, of course, when you're fighting monsters from left and right. Because these new movement additions are going to pretty much play a role when it comes to the combat. Now, from what I did remember when I watched the Monster Hunter Direct, there's going to be returning monsters, and pretty much it's definitely highly likely we're going to be running into monsters that you ended up having to deal with on Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. Some people are going to be surprised that Monster Hunter Rise and Stories 2 are going to be Nintendo Switch exclusive. And really, to be honest with you here, it shouldn't be that surprising to anyone unless anybody is new to the franchise, or anybody has been new to the franchise because their first Monster Hunter game is Monster Hunter World, which was on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. But, however, Monster Hunter has been a big deal on Nintendo platforms. And yes, it started out on PlayStation 2, but then it was brought over to the PlayStation Portable. And then, all of a sudden, Monster Hunter was then brought over to Nintendo platforms on 3DS and Nintendo Wii's and Nintendo Wii U's, of course. And Monster Hunter also has had a remaster, well, that game is essentially a remaster, happen on Nintendo Switch. And I guess that Monster Hunter remaster on Nintendo Switch was to hold us off until Monster Hunter Rise, to be honest with you here. And also, when it came to Monster Hunter, it was pretty much essentially, like, the big reason why people were, like, ending up getting a hold of, like, Nintendo 3DS's more. I can't say anything about Nintendo Wii and Wii U, to be honest. Really, to be honest with you, no matter what effort the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U was just, like, it was inevitable that it was going to crash. Now, the devs did go ahead and say up front, yes, you're going to learn more about this game through the Tokyo Game Show 2020, which is now an online event because complications. But however, in this Tokyo Game Show 2020 online event, here's where we're going to definitely see more of Capcom touching on the Monster Hunter games. And also, here's the thing, the Nintendo Switch exclusivity, and think about the Nintendo Switch. It's a hybrid console, it's a home console, and also a portable console. And what am I trying to get at that? Monster Hunter has been leading more towards a portable franchise. Because essentially, you gotta come to a realization. Monster Hunter has been pretty much a big deal when it came to, like, PlayStation portables, and then later on Nintendo 3DS's. And then, all of a sudden, if you really want my honest opinion here, I mean, I've kind of ended up in predicting this kind of stuff. Okay, I've been thinking about this stuff. Whenever I look at Monster Hunter, I kind of see, okay, this is what they want. They want a more portable experience. And the idea to that is that they want you to, wherever you are, when you're playing this game, you are wherever you are, and guess what? You're slaying monsters and hunting down monsters on the go. That being said, most of the time, Monster Hunter was being pretty much targeted as a more portable franchise, which is why you would see Monster Hunter games show up more on portable handhelds such as PSPs and Nintendo 3DS's, and of course, that's why you're ending up seeing more Monster Hunter games on the Switch. However, both of the games are really interesting. I gotta get into Monster Hunter more, and I'm gonna start chopping up some more monsters, so that way I can just get myself prepared and ready for Monster Hunter Rise. And, I mean, the Monster Hunter franchise is this really addicting franchise. You're just out there wandering environments, and you're hunting giant freaking monsters. And when it comes to the giant monsters you run into and start fighting, they just turn out to be one hell of a goddamn battle. And yeah, it's essentially what it's gonna be. It's mother-loving Monster Hunter Day, and that's what's been going on for this Nintendo Direct Mini, and that's why there was a Monster Hunter Direct that followed after that Nintendo Direct Mini. Okay, there was other titles, but the biggest show stealers are going to be the Monster Hunter games. Monster Hunter Stories 2 and Monster Hunter Rise. Anyway, that is all I got to comment on it, and I will be looking forward to you in the next video. Peace out.